So Caleb Williams and the Chicago Bears made some real noise this past weekend on Saturday when they played the Cincinnati Bengals and beat the tar out of them, moving to 3-0 in the preseason. Not that it really matters. The biggest note of all, the biggest story that came out of it, was Caleb Williams had a few plays where he looked like a fringe superstar in the NFL, like a future MVP candidate. And I wasn't going to talk anymore about this Caleb Williams thing or the Chicago Bears thing, because after a while, it does just kind of seem like you're trying to get clicks, or you're trying to be different, or you're trying to grasp at straws. That's something that's not there. My case for Caleb Williams has always been he's got the physical makeup, he's got elite arm talent, and he looks like, just physically, a real deal quarterback in the NFL. I've never once said the physical talent or just the eyeball raw talent of Caleb Williams was never there. I've never said that. Those words have never came out of my mouth. But after Caleb Williams had a few really notable plays, one of them in which he's drifting to his left side, he's getting bum rushed, and he's able to sling a ball over the shoulder of Rome Odunze, dropping it in a breadbasket, and people just lost their mind. And to be honest, it was pretty immaculate. Caleb Williams getting bull rushed, guys down his back, evades a player, runs all the way to the left, just scrambling, throws off his back foot to dropping it to Rome Odunze in a breadbasket over the shoulder. And even it had me eye-popping and thinking, wow. In fact, I almost changed my take on that throw alone until I gave it some time. I let things simmer, and then the take started percolating on my timeline on any social media platform, one in particular, where it felt like I was being lectured because I haven't given Caleb Williams the status of the next Tom Brady, Peyton Manning, Patrick Mahomes, Aaron Rodgers reincarnated into one, that I was an idiot because I haven't bowed down and given Caleb Williams the card of the next superstar in the NFL, that I'm an idiot and I'm going to be wrong. There's a few things that drive me insane. Disingenuous takes and immediate confirmation bias. And I felt like everyone that had this take were all suffering from those two things. Because being lectured at and saying there's a lot of people that are going to be wrong on Caleb Williams. There's a lot of people who are going to be wrong on Caleb Williams, who are just so upset because he paints his nails. And that is always what people point to. Well, people don't like him because he paints his nails. Well, people don't like him because he paints his nails. No, there is not a single rational person who's been watching football their entire life or for a decade, or has been analyzing, digesting the game, dissecting the game. Anyone that knows what they're talking about has never uttered the words, Caleb Williams might not make it in the NFL because he just doesn't have the talent to do so. That is an insane notion that has been put out there. No one who has talked about football in their life that knows what they're talking about, that is giving an honest, genuine reaction, has ever said to themselves, well, Caleb Williams, he just can't play. This guy, he just doesn't have the tools to make it in the NFL. No one has ever said that. There's not a single person that has watched the NFL and that is being honest that actually thinks Caleb Williams doesn't have the talent to make it. And that brings me to my next point. Everyone kind of points to he paints his fingernails, so that means it's not going to work. No, that's not what anyone is talking about. That's insanity. It's lazy, it's bad judgment, and it's disingenuous. People like me who have not just bowed down to Caleb Williams of being the next Tom Brady, Peyton Manning, Aaron Rodgers, reincarnated Patrick Mahomes into one, my point has never been the talent. My point has always been the emotional aspect. And yes, I've cited the painted nails before. And yes, I've said, I don't give a bleep if the dude paints his nails. I don't care what he does in his off time. It has nothing to do with me. My point has always been, this is a Bears locker room. that were very vocal, DJ Moore and Jalen Johnson for 2 elite talents who have both been very vocal about their support for Justin Fields. My point has always been, Caleb Williams marches to the beat of his own drum, whether it's the rumors of before the draft, potentially asking for ownership, whether it's him crying in the stands after a third loss in which it wasn't anything insane. It just meant he wasn't going to the Pac-12 championship game, which, spoiler, already had 2 losses. You weren't doing that already yet. The lack of leadership at times, not speaking to the media. And yes, the fact that he's just a little bit different might not bode well as a person trying to blaze their way in the NFL. My point has always been, it's probably going to work, but Caleb Williams is a different dude, which is completely fine. I don't care what Caleb Williams does. But you know who else is a different dude and doesn't paint his nails, but I'll argue is potentially equally as different as Caleb Williams, as the way he conducts himself, for better or for worse? Aaron Rodgers. The dude that he grew up idolizing. The dude who he loves, Aaron Rodgers, if I'm not mistaken. Aaron Rodgers is completely talented. He's got all the talent in the world. He's been on good teams. And we'll all agree Aaron Rodgers' talent never, ever reached the peaks of what we thought. Sure, 4 MVPs, 5 MVPs, whatever it is. But we all think Aaron Rodgers probably should have had more than 1 Super Bowl. Anyone like myself who has said the words, I'm not too sure about Caleb Williams, has never once been about his physical talent. We've all wondered if he's going to be able to win over that Bears locker room that has been very vocal about their support of Justin Fields. He marches to the beat of his own drum. He's the first big money NIL player that doesn't exactly have to succeed in the NFL to never work again a day in his life. A guy that has previously potentially asked for ownership of teams before he was drafted. That was floated out there. A player who's just different. And this is another thing. Everyone gets held up on the painted nails thing. Here's what I'll say about it. I don't care if a linebacker, if a wide receiver, or a safety paints their nails. They're not the quarterback. They're not the $50 million man. They're not that person. I don't care. Whether you like it or not, quarterback is held to a different standard in the NFL. And it always will be. I'm not saying Caleb Williams won't work. All I'm saying is just give me a few weeks to see if it's going to be what I believe it can be, which is an elite level MVP, potential Super Bowl MVP level quarterback in the NFL. But what I won't do is have people push down this narrative that if you haven't already said Caleb Williams is one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL, a top 10 quarterback in the NFL already, you're insane. Because that's crazy. Because top quarterbacks fail all the time. We all thought, including myself, Trevor Lawrence, who had the right attitude, who had the stereotypical political quarterback attitude with all the tools to be awesome in the NFL, was going to be better than he has been. Caleb Williams could be that too. Anyone can be. This is a not very forgiving league. It stands for not for long in the NFL. You better produce results or people will quickly judge you. All I've ever said about Caleb Williams is he has all the talent in the world. Is he able to potentially change his mentals a little bit, or is he able to trailblaze his own path, being a new NIL, Gen Z, a different type of quarterback in the NFL? That could work too. But this idea that he's going to be amazing because he went 6 for 13 with 75 yards, 0 touchdowns, and 0 picks, but he had a really, really good throw against second and third stringers on a Bengals defense that doesn't particularly look amazing right now, that I should just bow down to Caleb Williams because he made a great throw? My thoughts will never change. Caleb Williams will probably be awesome. And the only thing holding him back is the emotional aspect to me, is the mental aspect for me. The talent has always been there. But similar to Aaron Rodgers, who is one of the most freakishly talented quarterbacks that we've ever seen in the NFL. And keep in mind, I love Aaron Rodgers. But what has always consistently held Aaron Rodgers back? The emotional aspect. The idea of I don't come first, the team does. The doing things differently. That's always been the Aaron Rodgers way. And although Aaron has had an amazing career, we all believe Aaron probably should have won more than one Super Bowl, given how freakishly talented he is. And I won't back down from this opinion. I won't back down from this take. I'll firmly admit I was wrong, that a different type of personality can absolutely work as a star quarterback in the NFL as soon as I see it. If this guy takes the Bears to the playoffs in the first season, what am I supposed to say? The dude figured it out. And I'm totally okay with that. And I'm totally okay with being wrong. But before we crown someone king of the NFC and a top 5 quarterback in the NFL because he went 6 for 13 with 75 yards for 0 touchdowns and 0 picks on a second and third string defense, and we just crown this guy the king of the NFL, I'll wait on that, and I will give my own opinion on it. And until I see Caleb Williams show me for an extended period amount of time in the NFL that his way of quarterbacking works, I'm not going to move off my stance. And that's how I feel about it. And I'm not just going to bend the knee for a guy that went 6 for 13 with 75 yards and 0 touchdowns against a second and third string defense because someone on Twitter and Instagram and TikTok and ESPN told me to do so. And that's how I feel about the Caleb Williams craziness that has happened post their third preseason game.